From your fryer to the table, it's a quick trip for crispy fries. But how about a crosstown delivery? McCain SureCrisp fries are designed to go from fryer to container to carrier to passenger seat across town during rush hour down a shortcut that wasn't all that short to a doorstep before they hit the table. And that first bite, the crispiness speaks for itself. To the last bite, McCain SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby.
Wow, they're charging there, John.
What's going on? Right now, Trump seems like he's running certain things. What's the truth about what is going on with Mexico? Trump declared victory, and the Mexican president today saying, not so fast.
That's what you call a standoff. And who's going to win, Ed Cox? What do you think?
Trump, of course.
Of course.
No
doubt
like
about
the OK corral?
I think it is. It's
He's
like
got the ultimate bat.
Yes.
That is tariffs.
And I understand. And I understand there's a deal brewing. A deal brewing in Ukraine that, from our intelligence sources, that Putin gets to keep his land in the Ukraine. In exchange, that the balance of the Ukraine gets NATO status. That means Putin cannot do it again.
Protection. In other words, they get protection.
Where's that song? Protection.
Actually, it sounded like a mob. I'll give you protection, right?
Yes. We keep the land and we allow you to have protection.
That sounds like a scene out of The Godfather, don't you think?
Yeah, except Putin says he'll never accept it, which means he probably will.
Yeah, and also with Trump in town, it's been interesting. I'm talking about it at the helm when he starts, and there's apparently already this dialogue. He said he would solve it on day one. He has between now and January 20th, and this could be big stuff, Ed.
Yeah.
Maybe, you think he'll solve it on January 19th, or he'll wait till the 20th?
I would wait till the 20th, maybe half an hour after he does the swearing in.
If he does it on the 19th, the Democrats will indict him because he broke the law doing it while he's not president.
Oh, there's the Logan Act.
The Logan Act, that's it. You can't solve it.
Hasn't been used
President
in
Trump
2 centuries,
cannot solve
but
it
still.
on the 19th of January. You have to wait till at least the afternoon of the 20th.
Yeah, God forbid he does something good, right?
Yeah.
Before he comes in. God forbid, right? God forbid. That is a classic, John. But I wouldn't put it past them.
We joke around, and they probably would do it.
I was going to say, I wouldn't put it
would do
past them. Now,
like Biden, with respect to the Mexican standoff,
Yeah.
he said to Trump, don't use tariffs, which means, of course,
do. Because you've seen how well don't when Biden says that. You see how much people listen.
Then
Exactly.
a mega donor, another good one here, a mega donor to the Democrats. What do you have to do to be a mega donor? 5 million, 10 million? 20 million?
What do you think, Ed? What's a mega
$1.5 billion
donor?
in her campaign.
How much? $1.5 million?
I would say $100 million.
And what did she say?
Wow.
That Harris was so stupid.
Yeah, this actually
so dumb.
Yes,
that Byron Trump, who's only in college right now,
is
smarter
smarter.
than her.
Yeah, this is John Morgan, and he's a
Tell
Morgan.
us the exact words.
Yeah, John Morgan, Morgan and Morgan founder, you guys, and he said that Barron Trump is smarter than the entire Kamala Harris campaign because he's the one who inspired Trump to do the Joe Rogan podcast, to do all these other ones. And guess what? A lot of the people that listened like what they heard, and they got out to vote. Bravo, Barron Trump, and shame on you, Kamala Harris
From the
team.
mouth of babes, it works.
Because they were afraid.
He picked it up.
But they were afraid. The Kamala Harris team were afraid to
great
expose
What
her.
happens in
Another
families
great
and
story.
the president.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody on television saw those gangs in Colorado.
Aurora.
In Aurora, Colorado, breaking into that apartment building, breaking down the door, taking possession of the entire apartment building.
And guess where they landed, John?
Colorado wasn't big
They
enough
just
for them.
found
They
it.
had to come to New York City.
Yeah, and get
They
this.
ended up in New York.
But get this, John. They had outstanding warrants, guys. They weren't arrested in Aurora. You would have thought that was it. They're on the videotape going through the
things
doors.
Are okay. The mayor said things are fine
That's
in Aurora.
right.
Nothing
That's
to
right.
worry about
and
here.
you saw how much that worked, Ed. And so what do? They do a big sweep in New York. The NYPD, U.S. Homeland Security. They weren't looking for
I
them.
was scared if it was the NYPD alone, because then they'll say that we can't arrest them. But it was a joint thing with the feds.
Yes.
So the feds will arrest them.
And obviously they will keep them. This was for trafficking and gang violence. So guess what? Welcome to New York. Now, Trinidad, the most violent gang, is here.
Welcome to the United States.
Yo viví en España hace muchos años pasado. See?
Yeah. Welcome to the United States, because now, even in cities that they have that bail law, Trump is going to force it. It's going to be joint arrests with the feds, maybe.
Yes, which would be so
That's what
great.
I would do if...
I would do that too. I agree. By the way, John, guess what's happening now too? Now these folks who come through the border illegally, it looks like, you know how Governor Abbott, who we all had lunch with not that long ago,
at least a week.
Yeah, at least a week, right? So Governor Abbott, remember, used to ship them to New York. Now he's going to bus them to a deportation station a few miles away and say, guess what? Sayonara. See you. You're not going to come to America.
And Mayor Adams says, thank you.
Yeah. Finally, right? Finally.
Well, I mean, that's not bad for a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, what? And speaking of which, also, John, it is Black Friday, and there was a new poll that came out. It said that Trump voters are much more jubilant and spending more this holiday season. So the others are in mourning.
Why are we shopping?
I don't think they're shopping as much as we talked about it. I was on this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I know. We're impressed.
And Bert Flickinger was in the studio. And he doesn't think that Black Friday is as black as it used to be.
I've got my iPhone out. I think I'll do some shopping here.
Yeah, that that they buy on the computer more so. Computer sales are up from 9.9 billion down to 10.9 billion. And why schlep? Was that the word in
That's
Brooklyn?
A good word. That's
why
a good word.
Schlep to Macy's, for instance, when you can go online and get the same deal?
Yeah, and I think more people are buying online, but they're getting, either way, they're shopping one way or another, which is a good sign. Hopefully that people are excited. Like we talked about, Happy Days.
People are buying.
Right?
Where's Happy Days?
Oh, yeah, where's Happy Days? Because that would fit Black Friday and just the shopping season. There it is.
That's it. Thank you. All right, who do you have on now? The border guy could tell us more about ask him about the joint things that they're doing with local police departments with the feds.
I think we will, and that and a lot more. Joining us now is Ron Vitello, former border chief. Ron, great to have you here. First off, let's take it where John was just talking about with this sort of coordination now with the feds and local, because there's word that they will at least have a number of local agencies part of this mass deportation effort. What are you hearing?
Well, this is the Trump effect, or you want to call it the Homan effect. This is state and locals, those that are patriotic and care about their constituents, right? The sheriffs, the local police departments that are not run by woke cities are willing to step in to help ICE put people who are in the country illegally, who then go on to commit another crime in those communities, on a path for removal and deportation. And so this is a good thing, and this happens when the federal government is meeting their responsibilities to both secure the border and to take people who are in the country illegally out. And so you have Texas, they've been in this fight for the last 4 years. If it wasn't for Texas, imagine how much worse the border would be without their help.
You're not going to get indicted by the Democrats because you're already taking orders from President Trump, right?
No, it's absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
You never know.
You never know these days.
The violation of the Logan Act, but that's only for foreign.
Yeah, well, that's
could be Mexico,
too,
right?
This whole dialogue with Mexico and Canada playing out in the public on Truth Social, on X, et cetera. Mexico is a really important partner in all manner of things in our country, right? There's a real cultural affinity for people. There's lots of people from Mexico who have settled in the United States, third, fourth, fifth generation people. We have a huge trade relationship both at the border and internationally with Mexico. And then it's just, this tourism. I mean, I for one, love to go to beaches in Mexico on the Mexican Riviera. And so having a productive relationship between the two presidents, between the two administrations, helps everyone. And I want if there's folks on the president's team, the president-elect's team listening to us right now, let's help make Mexico great again. Let's use the trade relationship, use the leverage that Trump wants to have with tariffs to get them to do what they really know they need to do, which is put these cartels back in the box, secure their own southern border, and help us on our shared border in a way that, is only possible when you have both leaders leaning in and saying, we need to make this happen. Now, Trump can go it alone here, right? The tariff is all about that, right? It's if you don't help us, that's what he did last time. In Trump 1.0, he said, if you don't help us fix the border, I'm going to tariff you. And they acted in ways that I had never seen in 34 years of government service. And so
what was the Mexican president yelling about today?
Well, I mean, I think what I saw in the media, now take it for what it's worth, right? Because we know how the media is accurate in almost all things. But what Trump put out a mandate that said, if you don't help us fix this problem, we're going to talk tariffs. And then she said something about we had a productive conversation, but we want to build bridges, not barriers. Okay, fine. She has a domestic political agenda that she has to account for. We don't have to. I think the other thing that was very important in the discussion was Trump talked about the demand for drugs in the United States, and that's a very important thing for him to put on the agenda for all of the people who are listening. So Mexico's an important stakeholder there. She's going to posture politically because that's who she is. But at the end of the day, her predecessor, AMLO, who is just as much a socialist from that part of the party as she is, did more than any other Mexican president before. And we had some really good partners like Felipe Calderon, who took on the cartels in the most meaningful way during my time in government.
Ed Cox.
Yep. But as a junior partner here, they cannot lose face. So that's why she's had to make the stand that she did, just for the sake of her own position as president of Mexico.
Right. She has a domestic political agenda that she has to follow. She ran on certain things, and we do not want to be in a situation where the general society in Mexico, not the liberals, not the elites, but the man and woman on the street in Mexico, we don't want them thinking that Donald Trump is setting the agenda in Mexico. What we do want them to know is they have a strong partner in America, including the man in the Oval Office, Donald J. Trump, will help them do things that they know need to be done in their society, which is control these cartels, stop the precursors for fentanyl from coming into Mexico, and just reduce the crime and violence both at the border and in the interior of Mexico. Stop the influence that these huge cartels have in that country.
Ron Vitello, former border chief. How about this IG report? This is an Inspector General report from the Department of Homeland Security. And it says that these federal agencies were allowing and are still allowing, I assume, all these migrants to fly at taxpayer expense anywhere in America with no ID. And they said, guess what? This could be endangering American citizens on so many different levels.
I think if you're flying in murderers and criminals, you are committing treason against the American people.
Yeah, how could this be, Ron?
Yeah, there's no question about this. This is another example of where these liberal elites, the woke part of the Biden-Harris administration, would rather let people from the third world come into the United States at any cost. At the same time, they claim to love this country. It's inconsistent, and this needs to end. These people come here, and we have no idea who they are. We only know what they tell us. It's very hard to vet a gang member from Venezuela, even though we got really good people at the border that can do these interviews and do these interrogations. They should not be allowed to travel freely in the United States. And so controlling the border, ending this catch and release policy that exists under Biden-Harris will minimize this problem. There will be fewer people being released at the border on day one of Trump's administration, if at all.
Yeah, he's putting them on the buses and say it's a one-way turnaround.
Not on January 19th, January 21st and 20th in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that officially it's 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yes,
Things are
2:00
change.
in the afternoon.
So 2:01.
Otherwise they're going to indict him on something.
Yeah, let alone let China make war on the United States via fentanyl coming into the United States. That's a real
That's
killer.
an act of war.
That's an act of
Yeah,
war.
no,
And I think you should say
And it is. Look, they remember the Opium Wars. This
Yes.
is their comeback.
Right?
Yeah. This is an example of how terrible the Biden-Harris administration was for this country. Last year alone, we had 73,000 people from China come across our border illegally. Most of them are released.
How about the 30,000 military-aged guys? Did we ever find out the truth on that?
And by the way, well-dressed with suitcases. How do they sound like refugees, you know?
And not one word from the administration about how they're going to handle this unique problem with China. Not one word on fentanyl we're going to do more.
I think there's treason there someplace because this does. Yeah, look, it smells.
It certainly does. They cannot claim to love this country while they let all of that happen under their watch. And I'm grateful that it's going to end on January 20th.
You don't have a
Thank
country
goodness.
unless you have secure borders.
Yes, unless you care about this country and you do what you can to protect it. Ron Vitello,
100%.
thank you for joining us. We love having you on, Ron, and thank you for your great service to this country. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, so much. Well, joining us now, you guys, we have Carol Markowitz from the New York Post. And Carol, you wrote a blockbuster column. Boy, is it going to be in the headlines even more so in the next week or two. It's Don't Let the Left Do to Pete Hegseth what it did to Brett Kavanaugh. It's in the paper today in the New York Post. And it reminds us all of the hearings, the famous Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Take it away.
Hi, guys. So nice to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
I live in Florida, so it's really thank God it's Florida down here.
Oh, show off.
She got me on that one.
What a show off. Show off, Carol.
Well, so I think Pete Hegseth is a phenomenal pick for Defense Department. He's just an all-around interesting character, and I think that Trump did a very smart move by choosing him. Our military is really depleted. People are not signing up. People are not joining. They keep missing their targets for getting people to join. I think Pete Hegseth would be just a phenomenal change in that way. And so, of course, I think that the media and the left can't have that. They can't have somebody succeed who isn't a career bureaucrat in that role. And they are trying to stop him with everything they've got. And that's what my column is all about.
You know, remind everybody, because we remember the Brett Kavanaugh treatment. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was really despicable. Here is this guy, and they brought out somebody, and then it turned out that a lot of the things that were said were not accurate. And also, the person had like a lot of Democratic ties. I mean, how could anybody have faith with what the statement was? I'm all for, and Carol, obviously as a woman, you appreciate this. I'm all for everybody should be heard, man or woman, certainly. But if somebody has all these Democratic ties and then there were lots of holes in the story and we find out afterwards, that's not fair to somebody.
That's right. And look, and the other thing is, of course, everybody should be heard, but is it also okay to say, wait, this story sounds suspicious? During the Brett Kavanaugh time, it was actually very easy to say that a lot of those stories made no sense and sounded suspicious. The New Yorker ran with a story during the Kavanaugh time that literally did not even accuse Kavanaugh of anything. It was like the woman saying, like, he was in the room, maybe, possibly, and yet they still ran with that. So I think with this Hegseth story, the woman's story to the police makes no sense. No charges were filed. She lied to her husband when she returned to the room reportedly. And there's just so many gaps in this story that I think it does take a woman to say it's okay to question these stories. We don't have to believe every story that we hear. In fact, we shouldn't. And I think that's important. I think that we need to get to a place where we could say the details of the story make no sense. And it's okay to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed Cox.
And one thing that really makes Pete Hegseth very credible, he wrote a book about it. That is, a woke military is not a lethal military. We want a lethal military, not a woke military.
Yeah, and he's a two Bronze Stars, combat veteran. I've known Pete for decades.
Been involved in 2 wars. I mean, look, he's earned it.
Right, absolutely. And, I mentioned this in the piece, but it's just funny that all these people on TV keep saying, oh, he's just a person on TV. I'm like, well, you are as well. I don't know why that's an insult now. But he's obviously so much more. He went to 2 Ivy League schools, for example, something that, the left generally appreciates as a credential suddenly doesn't matter because it's somebody that they don't like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Carol, great column, and I encourage everybody to take a look at it at the New York Post. And we're jealous. Enjoy Florida. Thanks a lot. It's freezing cold here, so we're very jealous.
Come visit. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Carol, very much.
Come visit for at least 186 days.
The old tax reasons,
yes,
huh?
The old tax reasons. Shall we take a break?
We got a break, and we got Charlie Gasparino. We got Charlie Gasparino.
Oh, he's always fun to talk to. Always fun.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Cats and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here, John, on Cats and Cosby. And interesting story by Charlie Gasparino. What's going on behind the scenes?
I don't know. I think he's going to give us some breaking news. Is there anything different going on that the average person doesn't know about, Charlie?
Oh, I know everything. Are you kidding me?
I know you know everything, but the average person listening wants to know your secrets.
Average person should be watching Cats and Company for what's going on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe they'll listen to Larry Kudlow and you first before they listen to us.
No, they need to listen to us
first. Maybe we should go on earlier, Rita.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, if you listen to people like John Katz, his lovely Rita, and the rest of you guys, and Larry Kudlow, you won't be average. How's that for an advertisement?
Charlie, some of the intelligence agencies listen to us to find out what's going on.
Trust me, I know that. So does City Hall. So does Donald Trump.
Smart people.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I mean, that's part of my job is to give you the inside scoop, figure out what's going on. And with James Freeney, my colleague at the Post, we wrote an interesting story today about, you have to appreciate Trump, that he takes a big picture viewpoint of advice. I mean, he is now reaching out to all sorts of people to talk to them about what to do. I mean, he uses people as a sounding board. It's far from the sort of image of him as, some crazy guy in his bathrobe just throwing out edicts. I mean, he actually has a kitchen cabinet. One of those people behind the scenes is Larry Fink from BlackRock. You wouldn't think so, but Larry's one of the best risk managers in the country. I know he gets a bad rap because of ESG, but he's smart when it comes to the markets, and Trump does reach out to him. Another person that is sort of part of that whole matrix, maybe not totally directly. I mean, that we couldn't find whether they spoke directly, but we know there's outreach with the Trump camp. Is Jamie Dimon, the nation's best banker, the CEO of J.P. Morgan, who has been speaking regularly with the Trump transition team, both before they won and after they won, about banking policy and what he sees needs to be done. And one thing I do know is that Donald Trump is an admirer of Jamie Dimon, and I think Jamie Dimon is an admirer of Trump. I think he admires his moxie, he admires his tenacity, he admires a lot of things about him. He admires the fact that he's a comeback kid, and he admires him that his economic policies are so much better. Even Jamie Dimon could digest the trade stuff, I think, for the trade-off of lower taxes, less socialism, less regulation, and all the rest. And I think that's what we're seeing playing out behind the scenes. And that was the story we wrote today in the New York Post.
Wow. So at least, I think President Trump has learned a lot since his first term.
I agree with you.
And I think 4 years being on the bench, thinking about all the ways they screwed him during the first term is going to make him a much better president.
You're 100% right. And, thank God he did. And it shows you that he's actually a smart sentient human being, unlike the people he replaced and the person he beat in for presidency. And it's somewhat similar to Jamie Dimon's the arc of his career. As someone who's written a lot about Jamie over the years, I joked with Jamie. I met him recently. We had a little sit down, and I said, we knew each other before neither of us had gray hair, and it's been that long. And Jamie, the arc of his career is one of learning. He was this superstar executive with Sandy Weil, taking over companies, creating Citigroup, and then he gets fired by Sandy Weil.
Well, that's because Jamie, he learned from his mistakes. Jamie fired Sandy Weil's daughter.
Yeah, it was that. It's great that you know that. But it was more than that too, John. I mean, it was like a lot of rivalry between the two. It'll take a whole show to get into that. But anyway,
is that like Giuliani firing Bill Bratton because Bratton made the front page of the Time magazine?
There was some of that jealousy.
Some of that. See, we're giving all the gossip to all our listeners.
But the bottom line is he was in the wilderness for a long time. I remember covering it. And then one day he lands at a mid-sized bank called Bank One. He helps rebuild it and rebrand it and sets it up for a sale to a company known as J.P. Morgan Chase. And the deal was we buy your mid-sized bank and we get you as CEO. And the rest is history. He kept Jamie. He really built J.P. Morgan into a powerhouse.
Let me give you some numbers, okay? I'm going to give you some numbers. Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan, the stock value is $700 billion.
Yes, big company.
The number two bank is Bank of America at $300 billion.
That's true.
And you don't want to know where Citibank is.
Citibank, he left them in the dust a long time ago.
In the dust.
And he did that through risk management, by the way. One of the great things that Jamie Dimon did was keep J.P. Morgan out of the muck during the financial crisis. Now, that said, he's kind of woke, John. I've written about this.
Listen, I've been there with him. Me and him helped run the Dukakis campaign 100 years ago.
I was with him in Normandy.
Yeah.
Yes. But he does have a woke side, and he got on my case recently about that, telling me, I'm not woke, and I had to tell him where he was. He has a whole explanation. Listen, I like the guy. Don't get me wrong.
No, I like the guy too. Listen, his father was my stockbroker.
I know his father was a longtime stockbroker for Sandy Weil. That's how he got to know Sandy Weil. But what's fascinating about this whole relationship between Trump and Dimon, and they're going to sit down, guaranteed, at some point soon, is that it says something about Donald Trump, I believe, that he's a much more mature guy right now. He believes in a big tent.
Well, just like Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg goes and meets with him. Yeah. They had dinner. Who would have thought of that? That was a couple days ago.
It's really remarkable. I think this is a great time for the country. I mean, I know there's a lot of carping. I read it. Listen, I'm in the press. I write about negative stuff too all the time. I mean, far be it from me to complain. But, if I look at this sort of 30,000 feet, we're kind of in a good position. We lucked out. It was a close election, and God was on the
God was on our side this time.
Thank goodness.
If Ed Cox here, if Jamie Dimon was ever woke, all the regulations that were heaped on him, Basel III and Biden, he's talking about deregulation now, big time.
Yeah, no, he is. He is. I mean, listen, Jamie's a mixture. He's a longtime Democrat. His wife was very big with the Harris campaign, from what I understand. Jamie is a lot more nonpartisan. But listen, I try to judge people as individuals. He is an amazing guy. He's a really smart guy. He's a really down-to-earth guy.
He's a great CEO.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Very good CEO. He's really good at his job. And, you need more people like that, And I put him in there, and these are guys I don't agree with politically. I put Larry Fink in there. I mean, I know the guy better than most people. I put a lot of these Wall Street guys in there. They're, when you get past the BS, they are really smart people, and we kind of need more of them. And one thing I like about Trump is he's willing to talk to them and hear how they would make things better. That is so key. And it's just an open dialogue. And it's not what you have with the Biden administration. From what I heard about Biden, he didn't meet with anybody really, like no CEOs or rarely met with a CEO after the first year.
Wow. He didn't meet with anybody. I don't even know if he met with his wife after the first year. So
Well, I think that's the only person he met with for years.
Yeah, that's true. We did see them together.
She was running the show. But,
yeah, that's true.
There was, his staff kept him cloistered because he didn't have the mental bandwidth to do it. And, then Harris gets involved, and what interactions she had with people, from what I understand, were not impressive because, she spent 4 years not doing any homework, literally not doing the hard stuff to learn.
Absolutely.
And it all showed during this campaign.
Well, Charlie,
kind of ridiculous.
You're right. Thank you. Charlie, you're terrific. You always give us the great inside scoop. Thank you, Charlie, so much.
Thank you, Charlie. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You guys. Talk to you.
Okay, Rita, how about the hot news of the day? Anything really good?
It's the top news of the day, sponsored by Goya. Here's Rita Cosby.
Well, what's really good is it's Black Friday, and shoppers are out in force. And the Better Business Bureau is also warning buyers to be aware of scams, especially those online. Tomorrow is Small Business Saturday, and then we have Cyber Monday, so there's a name for everyone. And also, it appears that a federal takeover of New York City's troubled jail complex is closer to happening following a judge's recent report. The judge says she's inclined to put in place an independent receiver to make changes and to be in charge of safety issues and use of force at Rikers Island. And everybody, after the break, we're going to hear from John Solomon, Victoria Coates, and a lot more. Stick with us.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby. And John, you've had a busy day. You were on this morning early with Curtis. You guys were filling in for Sid. And you talked to John Solomon. He had some great stuff.
It was interesting.
Yeah, really. He always has good scoops. And you asked him about government spending and also where some big cuts could be, the Doge Group with Vivek and Elon Musk. Here's a little bit of what he told you.
We've got some other really fun stories to keep an eye on Doge. We know that Elon Musk is going to, working with Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress and other players, going to shrink the size of government. But guess what it's doing? It's creating a wannabe effect in the states. Several states are now putting together Doge-like offices so that they can start cutting spending in their own states. So Elon Musk has started a trend, not just for the federal government, but across governments in the states. That's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how we cut government spending across the board. Elon Musk has started a trend, and I think it's starting to accelerate.
Elon Musk spoke out yesterday, and he says he's going to slash the IRS budget.
I thought I heard a lot of people cheering around dinner time yesterday. You're right, yes. How many Americans don't really like the IRS? And remember, during the Biden years, they got tens of millions of more dollars and tens of thousands of new bodies allocated to pursue Americans. And there's a really odd trend line. When you take a look at where IRS enforcement has gone up, it's not gone up against wealthy individuals in America or big tax cheats. It's gone against small and sometimes poorer taxpayers who get the earned income tax credit and things like that. A complete misalignment of priorities, according to many of its critics in Congress. Elon Musk understands the politics of this. Shrinking the IRS will be a very popular thing in America, even on the Democratic side.
Is Musk making war yet on efficiency?
He is. He's already identified all sorts of projects that are wasting money, and he's crowdsourcing. He's asking Americans, hey, if you know of a program that's wasting money or underperforming, send it to me and Vivek Ramaswamy, and we'll get on it. The other thing that I think is going to be a powerful dynamic, and we had a really good interview with her, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a firebrand from Georgia, colorful all the time. She's going to use her subcommittee to sort of be the subcommittee of the flashlight. Everywhere there is waste, she's going to have a hearing, identify it, send the results of that hearing to Elon Musk so he can take it under advisement and shrink government. So you're going to see a hand and fist sort of approach to it with Congress working with the Doge to make it quicker, faster, more efficient to cut wasteful programs. There will be no shortage of examples of wasteful government. She identified a bunch of them. The most interesting thing she said to me, John, she said that she's looking to end the government agency that has lots of media properties across the world, Voice of America among them. It's called the U.S. Agency for Global Media. She says there's no reason for the government to be in the journalism business. Let the private industry take care of that. It's an important role, but the government doesn't belong running journalism institutions. If that were to shut down, that alone would save $1 billion a year in spending.
Wow, very interesting, John. And then you also talked with him about the justice system.
Yeah, what's happening on the justice system? Because the justice system, well, there was a lot of things to be desirable. Tell us what else is going on.
Well, we remember about a decade ago, George Soros began his efforts to get prosecutors positioned in all of these blue cities around the country. But as time has worn on and these cities have lived under the rule of these prosecutors who often let felons out to commit more crimes and other scandals, the Soros prosecution experiment has been going in reverse. And we got a great story this morning. The very first Soros prosecutor to be picked was a woman named Kimberly Gardner. She was elected in 2016 in St. Louis. She had a rough road. She indicted.
Is that the one that put the guy that was protecting his property in jail?
Well, that's right.
I don't forget.
You got a great memory. She also took down the Republican governor of Missouri, who was a rising star, a Navy SEAL named Eric Greitens. It turns out the accusations she made against him, she had no evidence to back it up. She had to dismiss the case. She got into a ball of trouble, but most recently, the Missouri Supreme Court reprimanded her for violating her ethics more than 6 times. But just before the holidays, just before the Thanksgiving holiday, she admitted in federal court in a document that she stole public funds, that she misused public funds to pay some of the penalties from her earlier misdeeds in the Eric Greitens case. So a prosecutor went from pursuing criminals to being accused of being one herself. Sort of the stormy end to that Soros prosecutor, but all across the country. Soros prosecutors are getting ousted from offices. They're getting reined in. The Soros prosecution experiment definitely on the ropes right now.
Wow. Anything else?
We've got some other really fun stories to keep an eye on Doge. We know that Elon Musk is going to working with Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress and other players going to shrink the size of government. But guess what it's doing? It's creating a wannabe effect in the states. Several states are now putting together Doge-like offices so that they can start cutting spending in their own states. So Elon Musk has started a trend, not just for the federal government, but across governments in the states. That's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how we cut government spending across the board. Elon Musk has started a trend, and I think it's starting to accelerate.
Got it.
Really interesting. That was a great conversation, John. And you know, where he talked about the Soros prosecutors, Ed Cox, you and I, our eyebrows went up on that one.
Sure. Sounds like Fonnie Willis, by the way. The prosecutors being prosecuted now for the bad stuff they've done.
Yeah, well, you got to find out. That was so bogus.
There should be a law. I mean, they tried to put a law against the police officers that they're personally responsible. Well, prosecutors or judges that don't perform like prosecutors or judges should be able to be prosecuted.
Yeah, and it should be listed if they have like a propensity or donating to, like, say, a Democratic or a Republican cause. I mean, come on, it's like how about the guy in New York?
Maybe like Judge Merchan.
Exactly,
here in New
that's
York,
what I was thinking of.
Who actually gave to a far left anti-Trump cause?
Yeah, gave to Biden.
It wasn't him. It
gave
was
to Biden.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, he gave too. Also, remember, it was like the daughter got paid handsomely.
Before we run out of time.
Yeah, we're like so fired up when it comes to the Soros stuff. Let's go to Victoria Coates. Victoria, great to have you here. Of course, former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump. We started at the top of the show. Who's going to win the standoff between Mexico and Trump? Your thoughts on that? We got a lot of international stuff.
Oh, indeed. And we can also get into one of the topics John just brought up, which is the proposal to abolish USAGM, because at the end of the Trump administration, I was actually the president of the Middle East Broadcasting Networks, which is one of its largest components. So if you're interested in that, we can talk about that too. But I think in terms of Mexico, the reality is that for both Canada and Mexico, they need the United States far more than we need them. They are our major trade partners. They should be taking on a larger role now. We're reducing trade with China. But at the same time, we have to remember where the power sits in this relationship, and the power sits with the world's largest economy. And so the president-elect is, I think, very rightly pointing out, particularly to Mexico, that they are not doing enough to stop the scourge of drugs and illegal migrants coming up into our country, including migrants from China and from terrorist-related countries. And so that all has to end. And it can't be done by trying to make nice with them, because heaven knows the Biden people tried that, but rather by saying we are really going to penalize your economy if you don't do this, because it is that important to us.
Yeah, you got to play hardball. By the way, we were talking about it's probably going to happen with Trump. We were saying like 201 on January 20th, right? That things started to kick in, hopefully, on a lot of ways, because it's incredible what they've already done, all the phone calls, all the things. He's got a lot on his plate. The other thing we were seeing is that the defense minister, the Russian defense minister, has been visiting North Korea. And this comes as there's been North Korean troops in Russia, fighting, of course, against Ukraine. And Ed, we were talking at the top that there may be some lots of
stuff going on here. Threatened nuclear strikes using intercontinental ballistic missiles that could carry a nuclear warhead, things like that.
Yeah, little stuff like that.
Little stuff like that.
Yeah, where do you see it going, Victoria? It's and also now Keith Kellogg, that's the new sheriff in town who's going to be dealing with Russia, Ukraine.
Yes, and I mean, 4 years ago, General Kellogg and I were in the Government Service Association building together, working on the NSC tradition. He's a dear friend, was a wonderful colleague.
We love him, by the way. He's a regular here on the show. We love him.
He is an American hero and a treasure, and I think it is fantastic that he is taking on this job. He obviously has a clear line to President Trump, which is the most important thing any special envoy can have, is the knowledge that he is speaking for the Oval Office. I think General Kellogg has been very clear that it's time to end this war. He doesn't want to get into an escalating confrontation with the world's largest nuclear power, Russia. That said, he also doesn't want to hand Ukraine to Russia. So I think he will be someone who can drive a very hard bargain with Putin, who will have a great deal of credibility with Putin. But the other reality he's going to have to deal with is what we've been talking about over the last few months, which is this open collusion between Russia and North Korea and China and Iran. And so you have not only those North Koreans, but some Yemeni Houthis, some Iranian terrorist proxies going to Russia, possibly got tricked into going to Russia. But the fact of the matter is the Russians wanted them to go. You have Russian arms being found in Hezbollah tunnels. You have Lavrov visiting North Korea. You have all of this sloshing around being fueled by Chinese money. And so that is a new reality the president-elect will have to contend with. This didn't happen during his first term, but he's probably the strongest person I can think of to stand up to it.
Yeah, you're right. It is going to be a lot on his plate. There is no doubt about it. But it's clear he's hitting the ground running. I mean, that's amazing. Victoria Coates, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you here. Thank you, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
We did. We all ate too much, but we had a good one. Thank you very much. And everybody, much more ahead on Katz and Cosby. We're going to be doing a big campaign for the Shriners. I love the Shriners. They're fantastic. We're going to talk about that. And also Judy Garland's daughter has an interesting thing on her plate. You're going to love it. It's a perfect holiday story.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby. And John, how exciting. The Shriners Children's Hospital. They do such incredible work.
Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. And they do such great work. And
amazing work.
With us today is Stuart Sullivan, and I met him down in St. Pete and Tampa, and he does wonderful work. And let's have Stuart bring him in to talk about it.
Hey, Stuart. I know Stuart is the Chief Philanthropy Officer for the Great Shriners Children Organization. Stuart, wonderful to have you here. Tell us about some of the incredible work that Shriners does. I'm telling you, I'm such a huge fan.
Well, Shriners, of course, has been around for about 102 years, and we've been treating children with with severe issues related to orthopedics and cleft lip and palate and burns for all of that time. We've treated over 1.5 million patients over that 102-year period of time, and we've got locations where we treat children across the U.S. and in Mexico and Canada.
Wow. And also, we're profiling a lot of these people that you gave them hope. And for them, the cost, it's something that people donate to. You have the regular donors, the Love to the Rescue blanket that's so famous, and you have the most beautiful kids, the success story.
What's the annual budget?
Fill us in on all of that.
Oh, sure. So our annual budget's about $1.1 billion. That's with a B. And that's because it costs a lot to treat children. And philanthropy, meaning people making gifts, and that could be a gift of $10, that could be a gift of $10,000. Philanthropy pays for the overwhelming majority of that budget. And so what we like to say is that we will treat a child regardless of their ability to pay.
Wow.
And so it doesn't matter if that patient has insurance, either through private insurance or through government-provided insurance, or if they don't have an insurance at all, we will still treat that child. And then it doesn't matter if the family can pay anything in terms of a copay at all.
And give us the website where all our listeners could go to.
So shrinerschildrens.org, shrinerschildrens.org, all one word, and then .org. And so you can find out about our clinical programs there. You can find out about how to give on that website. You can find out about our locations and the types of conditions that we treat on that website.
Wow. Well, bravo, bravo, bravo. Stuart,
and I know we
thank
want to talk to you again on Monday, and we want to talk to you again on Tuesday, because we want the children to succeed in helping those children.
Well, we're thrilled to be partnering with WABC next week on next Tuesday on Giving Tuesday to bring attention to Shriners and to talk about great stories about how we are providing, Rita, you're exactly right, that hope that we provide children and ways that folks in the New York area can help us.
Well, we have such an incredible audience. I know they're going to love hearing all these stories. Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And now we have Judy Garland's daughter.
Yeah, and we also have a little special music here.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Of course, that is from The Beautiful Wizard of Oz, 1939, sung by Judy Garland. And joining us now is her extremely talented daughter, Lorna Luft, who is a brand new show coming up in New York City.
A new show in New York.
I know. What a great thing. Lorna, fill us in. We're so happy to have you.
I am so happy to be with you, and I hope all of you had a fantastic day yesterday.
We sure did. We sure did. Tell us about this show, because you are such an incredible talent. Obviously, you have incredible genes. You got them for your mom, but you have done such amazing work through the years on so many great, huge Hollywood hits, Broadway. Tell us about what you're doing now, because this is a special time.
It is a special time, and I'm putting together a show with one of my dearest friends, who is the great Andrea McCardle. And, of course, Andrea was the original Annie in the Broadway show. And, of course, the song Tomorrow was written for her in the show. So she and I have been friends for a really long time, and we said, let's do something. And, you talk about something for so long, and then, we went through COVID, we went through all of these things, and we finally have been able to find a schedule that we could put a show together and bring it to 54 Below in the month of December 5, 6, and 7. We put a show together called Two of a Kind, and it's really a lot of fun.
I love this. So tell us a Two of a Kind, 54 Below, which is a great place.
Yeah.
You know what I love about 54? I've been there a couple times. It's intimate. And it's they've had I've seen some huge hits, huge performers like you guys there. I mean, this is a biggie. And it's special.
It is special. And I've been there, almost on and off for 8 or 9 years. And whenever they call me, it's just like coming home. And I especially love 54 Below because now I am home. I moved back to New York City, and I lived in California for a long time, but I am now a New York person.
Welcome back.
So excited.
Yay!
Yay.
A million people have left. One has come back.
Yeah, well, we'll take Lorna. We love Lorna. You kidding me? That's a plus.
And for those of you who don't know, Liza Minnelli's your sister, right?
Yes, she is.
Wow.
And I love New York. It's got a pulse. It's got a heartbeat. It's the most exciting city in the world, and I'm so pleased to not only bring my show here with Andrea, but to say that I'm a New Yorker now. And so I'm really, really, really thrilled.
We're going to come see the show. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. When does it open?
It's December 5, 6, and 7.
Fabulous.
I look forward to it.
54 Below, which is an awesome place. The great Lorna Luft. Lorna, great to have you.
She's
Congrats.
good friends with my friend, our mutual friend, Judy Abrams.
Judy Abrams, yeah.
A great Broadway producer.
Yeah, and what great
Broadway
genes you have.
producer.
Yeah, she's awesome. Judy
She is awesome. But so are you guys. I listen to you, and I have to say I am so honored to be on your show, and I'm so thrilled. And I thank you so much because you guys do so much for amazing organizations and all of that. And I am so grateful, and I'm very, very humbled by what you do.
We're trying to save America, and that's what we're all trying to do.
Lorna, keep us posted on all you're doing, okay?
I promise. And thank you so very, very much. And I'll see everybody at 54 Below December 5, 6, and 7. And I hope you will be there.
Sounds great. Awesome. The awesome Lorna Luft. And I love that with Annie, with Andrea McCardle, who played the original Annie. What a great, two of us. How awesome.
Yes, two of a kind.
Welcome back to New York.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you
so much. How fun, you guys. What a great, it sounds like a great holiday show, too.
Well, all I can say is thank God it's Friday.
Yes, what a week it has been.
And,
oh, my goodness.
I'm going to try to unwind a little bit Saturday.
Yeah, you had a busy. I can't believe John is still standing.
I work double shifts on Thursday and Friday.
Do they pay you enough?
Yes, instead of $1, they pay me $2.
You need to talk to the boss.
Pretty good.
You need to talk to the boss. I think he deserves a raise.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm amazed. John is the Energizer Bunny.
Listen, guys. Me, Ed Cox. You know why we do it? We don't get paid. We do it to help make a difference in America.
I thought you guys liked just sitting in the studio with me.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
That also.
Okay, good, because I love you guys,
Gentleman
too.
likes blondes.
Thank you. I've heard that. There was a movie like that.
I heard that
think.
someplace.
Yeah, Maryland. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I love you guys, and we love you all. I hope everybody has a great, wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, too. Also with family and friends, everybody.
Thank you. And what do we all stand for? Truth, justice, and the American way. And thank you, God, for helping America.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.